Yeah. What is something that you feel like you had a strong opinion about? Could be a couple years ago, could be a few years ago, that you feel like you fully changed your mind on.
I mean, the first one that comes to mind is like, there's no fighting like social media, especially with the teenagers, right? And their interest and willingness to share photos and share every aspect of what they're doing. I think if you would ask me as a young dad with a 2 or 3 year old on the plane, it's like, we are not going to be the tablet parents. We are not going to be the parents who kids have phones. And there's no reason a 13-year-old girl needs to have Instagram and, whatever. And I think as you start entering, I think oftentimes you're the biggest critic of things that you've yet to experience, and you've yet to really enter that world and then you go, okay, like at some point these kids are going to get it, right? At some point they're going to have social media and they're going to have phones. I think the big realization that we've had in our family is like, wouldn't you rather them go through all of those things when they're still home with you, right? Like where hopefully they don't post anything inappropriate, but things happen. Like, right. I hope those mistakes happen while they're still under our roof. I hope, because what you see a lot of is you reject it, you reject it, you reject it. Well, it's coming at some point when you're no longer in charge, right? They're no longer under your roof. And then sometimes the lid pops off. So like social media and that stuff, like our kids have it and we put limits on it. We have timers. We're pretty adamant about like what they're allowed to share, the pictures, but like, we're not going to sit here and lie to ourselves. My teenage daughter is going to send 500 pictures and snaps to her friends of last night's party and pictures and what she's wearing. Like, it's going to happen. Do I love it? No. Do I love what girls wear these days? I always joke, my life has turned into my daughter wears what I wish my wife would wear, and my wife wears what I wish my daughter would wear. And that's like the perfect way to summarize like my current situation in life. But like, if you teach them boundaries and you teach them morals and values and self-respect, which obviously is a huge one for all the kids, the realities of the world are going to be out there no matter how much you try to fight them. You're not going to fight other people's battles. You're not going to change other people's household rules. You got to worry about your kids and what you control, but they're going to enter the real world whether you like it or not, and you can't control all of those aspects.
Our audience, we call Papa Team 6, and then there's PT Sickos, and then you have Mama Team 6, Milk Team 6. They know that Will and I constantly say we're not experts on the show. Like, no part of us coming on here and talking do we ever say, hey, this is the way to do it. This is blah, blah, blah. So I think a lot of listeners have been asking Will and I questions that involve like their teenage kids that we have no experience on. Yeah. What, if you don't mind, like how old were your kids when you allowed them to have their first smartphone? And like, what did that transition look like?
Yeah.
I think that's a great question, because just context on Greg, this is a perfect example of like Greg. Yesterday we were at Tight End U. Tight End U's got some more entertainment value to it than it has in years past. Hearing Greg talk about Tight End U with all the music and the people and the cameras, hearing Bruce Kittle talk about Tight End U, like these guys are like old souls that love just ball. Yeah. They're like, when are we going to get to the ball? Greg's like, I just hope these next 3 hours, all the tight ends we have here, I just hope they get something out of us playing football. Yeah. So when you ask that question, I think it's an awesome question, because even when you're allowing them to do this, I feel like Greg's a guy that's like, oh man, he was very resistant to all of this stuff that came.
Oh, for sure.
My greatest strength in my career is probably my greatest weakness as a real human, just as a parent, a person, a friend, all that. I am very singularly focused on what I deem at the time as being the most important thing. Right? Like, keep the main thing, all the cliches from our ball. Like, that was my entire existence. Yeah. Like, vacation was about, if I didn't get my training and all that stuff done, there was no vacation. I was no fun. I was not going to go hang at the pool and throw the kids up in the air. Yeah. It was just the way I was wired.
Yeah.
So the problem with that, it was very good to play in the NFL for a long time, because there was never a question of, are you going to be ready? Well, what do you mean? That was almost like a given.
You stay ready.
I was ready at all times. Now, whether I ended up being good enough in the long run, and as you get older, it was not for the lack of effort.
Yeah.
It just, the road ends one day.
And you didn't care what anybody else was doing. It's like,
nope.
Yeah, they might do that. I'm going to do it this way, and I'm going to figure it out.
There was nothing in the world. When it was time for me to get what I had to get done, there was nothing. I mean, just take family, my kids and all that. There was nothing in the world more important than my training, than my career, than my goals and all that. Nothing.
Yeah.
When I got married and had kids, obviously some of those goals were challenged, and that's a whole separate conversation we can have. But as far as like these rules in the house, I was a big believer in like, I expected our 10-year-old kids, like, well, what do you want to do? Like, let's get up every day with a purpose of like what we're going to achieve and how are we going to get there? And you say you want to make this team and you say you want to play, whatever it was. And I think back and I was like, what am I talking about? They're in fourth grade. They're in fourth grade. I'm looking at it through the lens of a 41-year-old man who like understands the value of like objectives and goal orientation and processes and systems and blah, 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 blah. They're in fourth grade. You know what they want to do? They want to come home from school. They want to eat a bag of chips. Yeah. They want to sit on their phones, send a couple snaps. They want to go do their homework. If we let them play video games, they were. We don't let them play video games on the weekdays. And then they'll go to whatever their team practice is that night. We'll come home. They'll fight us to go to bed. And we'll get up in the morning and we'll do it all over again. That's what but you only know what you know. I'm like, well, what do you mean you don't want to come home from school and get extra swings? Don't you want to be good? Yeah, Dad, I want to be good. Well, this is what it means being good. And my wife's like, they're 10. I'm like, you're 100% right. So like that meant I've gotten a little bit better, but like the way I approached everything I'm trying to like dial it back that it's not how I always approach parenting, right? Like let them go out and do their thing. Even if it's not what I think they should be doing in the moment, which is hard for me to bite my tongue, I gotta let them. I gotta let them go out there and make the wrong move, not train, not do their homework in time, go out with their friends, like go be kids and experience life when the repercussions of the failure is not really that big of a deal. Yeah. Because you're in 7th grade. Yeah. Now is the time to make all those mistakes. Now is all those times to have trial and error. In the beginning of parenting, and even at times now, the best way I'd probably sum it up is, in my mind, I was like, if you just listen to me, I can probably prevent all the error, right? Like I could probably prevent you from making all the mistakes. As I've parented more, the lessons are better when they experience it for themselves versus anything that we tell them. Yeah. We could tell them something's bad for them or good for them until they experience it for themselves in a good or a bad experience. It's not reinforced as strongly. So as much as I want to give them all this wisdom about what path to take and how to do it, and this is what it looks like, and if you put in this day, every day, you'll achieve your goals, but it's not real. Like that's not a realistic way to parent. And as hard as that is for me, that's probably the area I'm trying to improve on the best. Yeah. Does that make sense?
So is that a right now thing too? Like you come to this realization?
It's every day, in real time.
Yeah. Did you come to this realization though, that it's okay to kind of let them live and learn the experience within like the last 4 or 5 years?
Yeah. As they've gotten older.
Like 10's the mark.
Yeah.
Like
10. I probably use 10. I probably can't.
10's the mark. Like, I guess they are.
I guess 10. I keep saying 10. I don't know what is it about 10. Maybe it's double digits, or maybe it's that they're almost on the brink of middle school-ish. Like what is that? Like 5th or 6th grade? Yeah. Maybe 4. I don't even know anymore. But like maybe it's that. But it probably is an arbitrary number. But all in all, I think the biggest realization and failures, or whatever you want to classify it as, that I've personally had as a parent, the simplest way to put it is, as much as you think your advice is really good and sound and comes from a place of experience and success and failure and all those things, it makes sense in my brain to be like, I'll just tell you what you need to do. You do it and you will have great success. Like that to me is like 1 + 1 = 2. Yeah. Why would you not take the advice? And when you look back on it, I'm like, because that's not the real world. Yeah. Everyone achieves what they achieve and goes through their own journey, most of the time through their own experiences. Yeah. And we can guide them, we can shape them, we can help kind of steer the path to give them some guardrails. But like, until they have that big failure or that big disappointment or that big success, what dad says, what mom says it's not nearly as impactful as that experience. And when you watch your kids have failure, it's like, I'm the king of like, well, if he just did what I said, you probably would have. I'm better at that. I'm a little better at that now. I'm still not where I probably need to be, but that's a huge conflict for me.
Yeah.
I think that
just being honest.
Yeah. Even though you see it as like, I'm a little bit better. I'm not where I want to be. To me, it still works out because then your boys and your daughter, they grow up like us when our parents were hard on us. Like my dad was more tough love. I'm sure your dad was a ball coach. Like he was probably the same way with you. Like you end up appreciating it later in life because you realize how rigid they were in some areas.
No doubt.
Even though our dads probably wish they were a little, like my dad's like, I wish I would have listened a little bit more to him or been a little bit more empathetic.
The ability to reflect on things in hindsight is so powerful, right?
Yeah.
And what we all know now and my appreciation for my parents or my appreciation for how hard my dad was as our high school coach and what he put us through. Like at the time that I love it when I was 16 and I had to be home at 9:00 because such and such.
And you wanted to eat chips.
I wanted to eat chips and I wanted to be out with my friends at the carnival or whatever we were doing. And like, I look back on it now and I'm like, if I didn't learn those lessons early in my life, and there were probably times where I went up to my room pissed off and this isn't fair. The other kids get to do this. But now I look back and I'm like, my life's pretty good. Yeah. I can do whatever the hell I want now. And was it worth at 16 making a couple sacrifices, not going on spring break with your buddies as a senior because you had to stay home for track meet? And I can go back to Aruba anytime I want.
Yeah.
Now you don't go with your high school boys, which is a different animal, but that perspective is only earned through experience.
Yeah.